各位歡迎收睇26分鐘見證實錄。提到飢餓，好多人都會諗到第三世界一啲比較落後嘅國家，嗰度嘅人好多都三餐不繼。但係其實喺加國一樣有唔少人面對糧食短缺嘅問題。加拿大統計局嘅數據指出，喺2017至18年，全國有440萬人面對糧食不安全，即係過住缺乏足夠食物嘅生活。當中有120萬人係18歲以下嘅兒童同青少年。喺2015年，我哋做過有關糧食短缺嘅報導，而喺近年，有組織就同餐廳合作，為面對糧食危機嘅兒童同青少年籌款，以提供膳食。我哋而家一齊去睇下。
850,000 Canadians visiting food banks every month.
You're relying on places that will give you free meals because you just cannot afford to do it yourself.
Hunger can strike anyone. It doesn't have anything to do with your life accomplishments, with your ethnicity, with your age or education level.
So this is a place that I come to every Wednesday to pick up food. The only time I can't pick up food would be on Check Week. They don't have a food bank on Check Week.
49歲嘅 David 過去10幾年嚟都係依靠食物銀行去解決三餐。
They would line them up inside the building. They bring them down these stairs in groups of 10, and then they follow them into the basement there, where you would actually have to get your food. Usually you get about 3 or 4 canned goods and some novelty items like some bags of chips. Sometimes you'll get cranberry juice, eggs on the occasion, bread on the occasion. Yeah, that's about it.
適逢呢個星期，政府發放社會福利金，所以食物銀行唔會派發食物。而對於好似 David 呢一類冇申領社會福利金嘅人嚟講，要解決呢個星期每日3餐，就要靠其他方法。
The sweet young corn, so I'll use those in a stir fry sometime. And I got this a couple weeks ago.
喺屋企 ，David 儲埋一啲之前未食嘅罐頭同糧食，直至下星期食物銀行派食物之前，一日3餐佢都係靠呢啲嚟解決。
This will take care of my mornings with cereal. That'll get me maybe four breakfasts, and the rest I'll use with bread. I'll make toast, so I got enough money that I could buy some more bread. These cans are going to be for my dinner.
How about for lunch?
Lunch, I've got some meat and some cheese in the fridge.
So those will be enough to go by for the rest of.
That should get me through the rest of the week.
大約17年前，本身係一名庫存管理員嘅 David，因為公司裁員而失業，之後一直只係揾到一啲臨時工同兼職嘅工作。現時佢喺一間連鎖零售店做貨物管理，一星期獲編排最多20小時嘅工作，所以每個月嘅收入大約係1000蚊。佢現時居住嘅地庫房間月租480蚊，另外每個月仲要向前妻支付250蚊嘅子女贍養費，扣除自己同子女嘅手提電話費，每個月只係得返100幾蚊嘅生活費。就好似呢一日，佢嘅銀行戶口得返9蚊，而距離下一次出糧仲有2個星期。咁樣嘅情況經常發生，咁所以佢會不時上網嘗試尋找多一啲嘅兼職幫補生活。
My expenses have gone up in the last year by $230 a month, and my income has gone down by about $100. So there's like a $330 difference there that I need to try to make up, and that's what I use for the temp jobs. But oftentimes they say, no, we haven't got any work for you. So it's like, oh, I was depending on getting that extra day in the week to make ends meet. Now what do I do?
佢曾經有一段日子係靠信用卡度日，為自己添置日用品，例如佢用嘅手提電腦就係其中之一。咁最終累積咗5萬幾蚊嘅債項，喺2年幾之前要申請破產。冇多餘嘅錢使 ，David 喺冇工返嘅日子就會用一啲唔使消費嘅活動嚟消磨時間。
That's another way of relieving attention. Eat less, don't go out as much. We're in this kind of country that it's the land of plenty, and here we are with struggling to survive.
Tris 係卑斯減貧聯盟嘅發言人，佢話 David 呢一類經常要為三餐煩惱嘅人，其實喺加國有唔少。
And if we look at food banks as sort of a measure of how many people are going hungry and how people aren't able to pay for food and other costs, though food banks are an underestimate, we're still seeing huge amounts of people. So about 850,000 Canadians visiting food banks every month.
喺2019年，加拿大食物銀行嘅數字就顯示，到訪食物銀行嘅人次有超過108萬次，較前一年多47%。咁值得留意嘅係，到訪人次中有超過1/3係兒童。另外喺新冠疫情影響之下，有52%嘅食物銀行表示，舊年3月份期間有更多嘅人到訪嚟領取食物。
So the why for us is all about trying to end youth hunger. I think when people think about youth hunger, they think about developing countries far, far away, but that it's not happening in Canada, it's not happening in our communities. But that's unfortunately not the case. Around 1 in 5 kids across Canada are food insecure, don't know where the next meal is coming from. And Canada is the only G7 country that doesn't have a national school feeding program. So it's a big problem, a lot bigger than a lot of people think.
留意到本國有好多兒童同青少年面對飢餓危機 ，Derek 同2位創辦人喺2013年成立 Mealshare， 透過同餐廳合作籌款，並同其他嘅組織合作，將籌得嘅善款用嚟提供食物俾有需要嘅兒童。
Mealshare branded menu items. They would be getting their meal just like normal, but they're also providing another meal to a youth in need. So it's a buy a meal, give a meal program, 1 for 1.
只要食客購買合作餐廳餐單上標記為 Mealshare 餐點嘅食物，咁餐廳就會為客人匯出1蚊俾 Mealshare， 而呢啲收到嘅款項會提供俾合作嘅本地慈善機構購買食物，部分就會提供俾海外慈善組織。
So we make sure that in every community we have at least one local charity partner, and then we have our international charity partner, Save the Children Canada. So about 80% of the financial support is staying local because local meals cost more than international meals. So when we move into a community, we usually do a big search and we look for all the local charities and nonprofits that have a food program or a program focused around youth and children and a food component. So Save the Children Canada is our international charity partner, and we're working with them on one very specific project in Ethiopia. So we're providing these life-saving meals to children that are suffering from SAMS in rural Ethiopia. And SAMS stands for severe acute malnutrition. So put it simply, these children just are not getting the calories that they need every day. They're essentially starving, slowly starving. And so when they come into these health clinics, we're able to give them these life-saving meals because they're super calorie dense. So after about 2 weeks of being on this diet, they plump right up to a healthy weight.
至於邊一啲係 Mealshare 餐點，就係由合作餐廳決定。
Items that they want people to try because the Mealshare logo does a really good job of highlighting items, so people's eyes are drawn to it. And people feel pretty good when they order an item and they're providing a whole other meal to a youth in need. So people think, restaurant owners think, okay, items that are maybe high margin menu items or items that maybe are new items that they want people to try.
We chose the Bellegarde burger. And the reason for that is that one, it's, it's kind of a signature item for sure. It's something that people have quite often. And so we wanted to use something that we sold a decent number of units of. The other thing is that, we're sharing the contribution with the customer. So in a sense, the guest pays 50 cents and we pay 50 cents. And so we contribute $1 each time. And so, adding 50 cents to a burger, I think is quite reasonable as well.
其中一間最早同 Mealshare 合作嘅餐廳負責人 Ruben 表示，舊年另一個餐廳品牌亦都加入咗 Mealshare 嘅合作項目。
We were Bellegarde Kitchen was one of the first restaurants to join. And I think through a mutual friend, Derek Juno was introduced to me, and I just love the sounds of the program. I think there's so many different charities out there, and but in this case, like being able to contribute to children was really important to us, and we thought that it was such a good program, given that a lot of the kids that need food every day. Havana, we do a sandwich called a cubano, which is a traditional Cuban-style sandwich. So again, it's something that that's on all the menus, and we sell a ton of them, and so as a result, we get to make quite a solid contribution every month. I think at Bellegarde, since we started the program, I think we're somewhere around 22,000 meals.
各間餐廳收集到嘅款項將會由 Mealshare 轉交俾慈善組織，例如係救世軍組織。Mealshare 由2013年成立至今，已經提供超過400萬份嘅食物俾有需要嘅兒童同青少年。
One of the benefits to Mealshare is that we try to bring our restaurant staff out to the local charity to actually see the children that they're supporting and actually see the meals that they're providing. Because I think when it comes to philanthropy, seeing is believing. And that's just so important. So when we chat with charities, we ask if they have volunteer opportunities. That's a really big one.
社會上有越嚟越多嘅人需要依靠食物銀行嚟過生活，要協助佢哋，單靠派發食物係咪就足夠呢？而政府方面又有啲乜嘢對策呢？下節翻嚟我哋再睇。有人冇嘢食，有人就食物多到食唔晒。其實每日喺食肆、超市等唔同嘅地方，都有好多用唔完或者係賣唔晒嘅食物被燒毀。有組織就針對呢點諗到方法去避免食物白白浪費之餘，亦都可以幫助到有需要嘅人。而喺過去1年，餐飲業受到疫情衝擊影響生意，同餐廳合作為飢餓兒童同青少年籌款以提供膳食嘅組織 Mealshare， 又有冇受到影響呢？喺呢個貨倉，每日都有大批嚟自20幾個國家嘅蔬菜水果運到嚟，然後再分發到溫哥華嘅唔同零售商。不過，逢星期二有一批蔬菜水果就唔會送到商業零售商，而係送到市內嘅一個專門收集蔬果嘅非牟利慈善組織。
This is the typical order that's going out to Quest this afternoon, and we have long English cucumbers, where this came in a little bit of soft ends, which can be easily just cut off. And the color is slightly lighter than what is required to go into a regular chain store. Here we have Tommy Akin TA mangoes from Mexico. Again, some of the boxes here, this is what we call, we have some blemishes, some water spots and so forth. And again, it's a surface condition. It's not a quality issue.
林子浩係呢間果菜進口及批發公司嘅創辦人之一。佢解釋每批運送到嚟嘅蔬果都可能出現一啲品質比較次級嘅貨品。以往呢啲賣唔出去嘅蔬果都會白白被燒毀，但係而家就可以變成有需要人士嘅食材。
A lot of the product actually goes into the dumpsters, and now it's recycled, and it's good enough to be still eaten. And consumed by the general public. But because of often the higher standards and the specifications that's required for certain local markets, they won't accept it. And now we don't feel a lot of that waste is going into the dumpsters, filling up the landfills. It's being recycled to those who are really in need.
只係呢一批蔬果就已經有8000至9000磅。慈善組織嘅貨車到達之後，工作人員小心將蔬果搬上車，然後就運送到慈善組織嘅食物倉庫。組織會將收集返嚟嘅食物分門別類，然後再分批將食物送到組織所營運嘅4間廉價超市。
$27 billion a year goes to waste in Canada. Meanwhile, hunger is not a problem that's going away. We see food insecurity as a rising problem, as a rising concern. So we partner with two segments of the population, the food suppliers, who are benevolent and generous in providing the food donations to us, and the social service agencies. So we partner with over 500 social service agencies in providing access to healthy and affordable foods to over 349,000 individuals each year.
每逢星期四喺溫哥華士特孔拿社區中心呢度 ，Lauren 同一班社工都忙於整理大堆由唔同組織捐嚟嘅食物，準備喺第二日分派俾有需要嘅家庭。
Staff in the school realized that Mondays were really tough days for the children. And one of those reasons that they were tough days is because there are a lot of food supports during the week at the community center in the school. The breakfast program, lunch program, after school care, meal or snack programs. But over the weekends, those don't operate. So the breakfast program came about to fill that gap. So it does provide support for families who are facing barriers to food access.
有健康嘅飲食對兒童尤其重要，但對於低收入嘅家庭嚟講，要買新鮮有營養嘅食物係一個龐大嘅經濟負擔。咁所以唔少學校喺返學嘅日子都已經設有營養早餐、午餐計劃。而 Lauren 佢哋呢個計劃就希望確保到兒童喺週末學校唔開放嘅日子，都一樣可以食到有營養嘅食物。義工會將食材分類、整理，然後準備喺星期五俾家長嚟自己挑選所需要嘅食物。
We'll have things set out, so like right now the bananas are in boxes with plastic, so they'll be taken out and broken apart, and we'll have groupings of produce so that families can come and they'll have within each grouping 2 to 3 items that they can choose from as they come through the market. So it could be a choice between kiwi and banana, or banana and mango, and then a choice between orange and apple, potato and onion, that type of thing. And then the dried goods are generally at the back.
咁至於一啲未能夠親自到中心揀食物嘅家長，義工會另外將食物分配好，然後送到兒童所屬嘅學校或者日託中心。目前已經有165個家庭參加呢個計劃，有350幾名嘅兒童受惠。只要家庭符合資格，費用係全免，平均每一名嘅兒童每次可以大約得到8件蔬果。Lauren 話：呢一個食物計劃唔單止係填飽兒童嘅肚咁簡單，係希望幫助到解決飢餓所引申到嘅其他問題。咁不過長遠嚟講，如果社會只係單靠慈善福利組織去應付飢餓危機，亦都係一個唔健全嘅做法。
When you're talking about children, childhood development is really important for someone's health over the lifespan, and access to food as a child is key for childhood development. Even school attendance, being able to focus in school is extremely important. You're not going to be able to focus in class and you'll fall behind, and that has influences throughout your life as well.
喺疫情期間，好多餐廳生意受到影響，靈意求同餐廳合作以緩解兒童同青少年飢餓問題嘅社福機構 Milshare 受到打擊。
We've been growing quite steadily year to year. We've been around for 8 years. But as you can imagine, trying to operate a charity that is solely supported by restaurants during COVID was a really, really tough time. So we had about 500 restaurant partners on before COVID, and then COVID hit, and within 2 weeks, I think we were dropped down to about 90 restaurants still running the program. So it was really tough because it meant that, one, we couldn't continue running as an organization like normal, but most importantly, we couldn't be supporting the charities that we were supporting month in and month out. And they needed the support then more than ever. So that was a really, really tough time. This last year has been really, really tough. We had to let our whole team go. So everyone was let go, including myself, but all of us, everyone that worked at Milshare, all 17 of us just kept working. We just kept working and volunteering because the program is so important. We know how much of a difference it makes for families and kids.
同 Mealshare 已經合作多年嘅餐廳負責人 Ruben 表示，現時比任何時候都更加需要幫助食物不足嘅兒童同青少年。
There was a period of time this time last year when everybody was closed, including us, and so we had to press pause on the program. But I think basically as soon as we reopened, we got back on the program, and I think probably for the children in need, given that it was COVID, it's probably even more, more of a necessity. And so, yes, we had our own challenges in the restaurant industry, as many other industries did, but we also recognize that the kids probably are even more challenged than we are, and so we want to make sure that we could continue to contribute.
慶幸嘅係佢哋嘅團隊喺近期成功同一間全國連鎖快餐店合作，令全國合作餐廳嘅數字由90間上升至1200間。
At the beginning of COVID, when we basically had to say, sorry, but our restaurants almost have all stopped the program, so we won't be supporting you not nearly as normal. And they would come back to us and say, well, our need is greater than ever. So anything you can do would be really, really helpful right now. And so we started chatting with different organizations to see if we could get some support from different organizations. We'd been talking with A&W for quite a while, and they stepped up and started the program. So they onboarded with all 1,000 of their locations on February 1st, which is amazing because it means that Mealshare is now in almost every community across Canada and so many new communities on the Lower Mainland, which is great.
而目前佢哋仍然未能夠好似平時咁同餐廳宣傳 Mealshare 合作計劃。
We're not doing our normal recruitment program, which is reaching out to restaurants in the community and telling them about Mealshare, because we know for a lot of restaurants, they're just not at that point yet. So going to A&W and new restaurants that do want to have an impact right now, their impact is bigger than ever because it means so much, because a lot of our charities have never seen these kind of numbers, and they're really struggling.
通常 Mealshare 會同餐廳所在社區嘅慈善組織合作，將收集到嘅款項提供俾佢哋緩解區內兒童同青少年飢餓問題。不過，對於一啲缺乏慈善機構嘅偏遠地區 ，Mealshare 嘅合作夥伴就主要係食物銀行。
When setting up the program for A&W, because they're doing it a little bit different, by joining with them, we're in fact moving into hundreds of new communities that Mealshare has never been into. That means that we had to go into those communities before we started and set up charity partnerships. And that was a big task because that's literally hundreds and hundreds of communities setting up hundreds and hundreds of partnerships. So what we found when we move into these smaller communities is that it wasn't like the bigger cities that we've come into before, where there was a lot of different charities to chat with and pick one of the many. A lot of the times there was one organization, and that was usually the food bank. So with food banks, what happens is instead of providing a meal through them, because they're giving away hampers, not specific meals to youth and children, we provide an international meal first through our international charity partner, Save the Children, to meet that promise of a one meal purchased, one meal given. And then the rest of the leftover funding, we give that to the food bank to go towards hampers for the community.
Derek 希望未來有更多嘅餐廳可以同佢哋合作，為更多面對糧食挑戰嘅兒童同青少年提供食物。
We realize that restaurants want to do something impactful, but they're just so busy. So if you're connected to a restaurant or you are a restaurant owner, reach out to us at mealshare.ca.
而鑑於新冠確診個案上升，卑詩省府喺今個星期宣布，餐廳喺4月19號之前需要停止堂食服務。對於呢個安排，Derek 就話對佢哋嘅機構嚟講係個不幸嘅消息。相信會對 Mealshare 嘅合作餐廳同埋慈善機構造成負面影響。籌集到嘅款項預期會減少。好啦，今集嘅節目時間又差唔多啦。如果觀眾對我哋嘅節目有任何意見嘅話，歡迎以電郵嘅方式同我哋聯絡。我哋嘅電郵地址係 mag26@fairchildtv.com。觀眾亦都可以上網睇返今集嘅節目內容。我哋嘅網址係3W.fairchildtv.com。多謝收睇，下星期再見。